Hello, and welcome to On Point for Gamers. And we are here this week with an exciting movie that we want to talk about. That's right, it's going to be our Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler cast. This is your warning, your one and only warning. If you did not watch Deadpool and Wolverine, do not continue watching this unless you want the entire thing spoiled. Okay? This is the warning. Understand. You got it. Leave or just buckle in because we're going to have some fun. I am CMoney, and I am joined by the always lovely Doodle.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for rocking out with us today. Happy Thursday. I've been dying to talk about this movie, so let's freaking go.
Let's freaking go indeed. Now, as you can see over on the screen, it's not just me and the Doodle. No. We have our boy Madman joining us today to talk all things Deadpool and Wolverine. My dude is the person who went ahead and did our review for the
Yes.
movie.
Yes,
So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But welcome, man. Thank you for being here. brother.
No problem. I'm pretty excited for this. Deadpool Wolverine, probably the most hyped movie of the year. So I'm pumped to talk about it. Getting the nitty gritty.
Absolutely. And the nitty-gritty we will because this is, as we said, a spoiler cast. So we are going to be talking about it again. Final warning. If you have not watched it, leave or be spoiled. All right. That's all. That being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. First of all, shout out to everybody who's watching with us live. We appreciate you guys for being here. I will say first up in the chat was Razor Ultron.
Let's go.
So we got to give him some love for being
Yes.
first for
Razor
sure.
Ultron.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fonto Sir was good, man. So let's just start right away. All right.
Yes.
I want to know overall, your feeling on the movie before we break it up into different parts and different discussions. Just your overall feeling on the movie. Doodle, let's start with you.
With me.
Yeah, ladies first.
Right to me.
Right to you.
Listen, man, I enjoy the movie very, very, very much. And I think that you want me to just say an overall real quick or
Your thoughts on the movie. It's a spoiler cast, so you can say whatever you want to say.
so listen, that opening scene was epic, right? Here we go, NSYNC right off the freaking bat. That violence combined
Glorious.
with that dancing was epic, bro. I really did enjoy it. The thing about it is that there were a couple of things here and there that maybe weren't like perfect, loved it. But I did really, really enjoy it. And I have not enjoyed a superhero movie in such a long freaking time. I was thirsty for this. Like I was waiting for this. I
was
thought my
parched.
love for superhero movies had died,
Facts.
right? And I don't know if you guys in the chat share my sentiment, but I feel like they've exhausted this whole multiverse situation. And I was always so amped and ready. Um, when it comes to, these superhero movies, I was super into them, and, Deadpool is one of my favorites, and I think it's because he has that sense of humor that our generation kinda grew up with, kind of raw, a little filthy. That's how we do,
For sure.
and, like, it was good, it was good,
It was good. All right. So
better than I expected.
listen, I'm gonna go next because I know Man has a lot to say.
No, I don't have a
Um,
lot, honestly.
sure. But okay. But I will say, I mean, for me, like this is easy discussion for me. This was a phenomenal movie. Loved it every moment of it. We did go back to watch it
We
twice.
did watch it
Um,
twice. Different experiences too.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. The second time picked up so many more details, that I missed the first time around, which was crazy. But it was just a phenomenal movie. Loved it. 10 out of 10 for me, easy. Um, I don't think I've enjoyed a superhero movie like that in forever. Like, and I don't even know, like, if I were to go back to the moment that I did enjoy a superhero movie the same way and then compare it to now, I still don't think that anything reaches these heights for me personally. I just all the humor hit for me, everything was there, and those cameos, bro, yo, I don't know what it was. When I saw fucking Blade, I lost
He did. He
my
lost his freaking
shit.
mind. He did.
Oh my god.
Um, I'm not you know what's wild for me? That the Blade movie with Ryan Reynolds was my favorite. I
Trinity?
know a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't care for the first 2. I did love, that 3rd movie. So for me, it was really cool. Um, go ahead. I jumped in. I jumped in.
Yeah, when I saw that, cameo, it was just perfect, and I mean, like, the cameos just nailed it for me too, like, it just hit. Like, those were our generation of the Marvel movies that we saw coming up, and just to kind of to be able to see them come back, like, it was dope to see Jennifer Garner as
Yes.
Elektra, not like, it wasn't my favorite movie or anything, but just to have her back, like, that's really dope that she showed up. I love the dig at Ben Affleck.
Yes, perfect time
Uh,
for her to show up with all her personal situation that's taking place with the divorce and everything, and the way they played Ben Affleck as part of the humor was just
yeah, it was great.
freaking amazing.
It was great. I love how Ryan Reynolds kinda jumped right into that, like, he didn't even care. Um, but, but, like, there was a ton, and I think we wanna go in and, I do wanna go in, like, into each kind of situation. Like we'll talk about cameos all together and more in depth, but just like overall, I just everything just hit for me. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a person that's gonna want to sit there and um like sit there and try to pick apart things that I see a lot of people have done in reviews and stuff like that. I don't agree with a lot of what's out there. But we're gonna get into it for We're gonna get to it further. Before
Yeah,
we do that, Madman, give us your overall. What were you kind of feeling about the movie? Overall, brother.
So I really enjoyed the movie a lot. I do think that the action scenes were really damn good. It's funny because there are some people that love the like fight scenes and stuff like that, and there are some that found them boring. Honestly, I thought this is the most creative like choreography in a fight scene that we've gotten from Marvel for a very long time. 'Cause I feel like it got really stale. I do think Deadpool was very graphic, very fresh, funky. Aside from like that one with like Blade and all the old heroes where it feels like the cameras were shaky to cloud the fact they were really old and struggling. I do think that, like, especially the opening scene got really creative with how Deadpool was using the bones of Loki's body and, using his weapons and, hitting to the beat. I just think that they did a really good job on that front. I also thought the movie was really funny, like, I actually laughed a lot of times. It might honestly be the funniest Deadpool because, it's just like really good. And I also think, Deadpool and Wolverine are like a perfect pairing. They really work well with each other. They have great chemistry, and I think that's just really cool. Obviously, as you said, it is far from a perfect movie. There are definitely issues, you know, like there's like an abundance of cameos, villains a bit weak, like the pacing is so,
Well, let's not let's
you
not
know,
let's not d break
but
up your let's not break it up. Let's go into, like, let's talk about it, right? Let's
Overall,
talk
yeah.
about this was an overall thing, but I know we do wanna
I
talk
didn't
about your
want to get
review.
too into it. I'm just
So
listing out my
I
things,
do.
but
Let's switch over. Let's switch over to talking about your review of it, right? Because you and we have very different feelings for a lot of this stuff. Um, but I want you to kind of explain yourself, or not explain yourself, but
explain
like
myself.
give your feelings
Jesus.
on what you thought, right? Before
How
we
can it not
before
be
we throw you out the back.
perfection to
Nah,
you?
but no, just like give context for your what you feel with I know you the things that you like, but
The things
specifically
I
the
like.
things you had issue with. I would like to kind of let's
Look,
dive into that stuff
I
a little
I
deeper.
like superhero movies a lot. It's not like I don't get superhero movies like these critics, and I'm just being a sour cat because I don't get the hero references. Like obviously, some of my favorite movies are comic book films. It's just that like Deadpool Wolverine was really good. It's just that it's no Dark Knight. It's not as good as Logan or Old Boy or Into Spider-Verse or anything. So, like I'm not saying that I like comic book movies and I'm saying that it's a good movie. Definitely has some issues that I think are prevalent. But it's all right if you feel different, money. And I don't want to get into an argument about it. Just putting it out there.
It's not. I want you to I don't want you to state I what about are your what
So you exclusively the problems, or should I get more in depth with the positives and then the negatives? Used.
oh nobody can hear me.
You
That's
were muted?
hilarious. Thank you.
That's hilarious.
Our boy our
Ah.
boy Crazy Louie. Thank you for letting me know. That's wild. This whole time
What?
nobody heard what I was saying. Okay, cool. Let's go back. So I want you, Madman, to dive into your negatives about the movie because I think that's the hardest part for me.
Oh,
Is when
sorry.
I hear your negatives, I'm just like, I don't
Alright.
understand. So maybe as a group here, we can all
We
get some.
switched off so
Alright.
fast,
Okay,
though,
trigger warning if
but
anyone's overly
sure.
sensitive about Deadpool or, can't handle a tiny bit of criticism because, this is your time to, cover your ears. But yeah, I do think my number one issue, well, not top issue, definitely not, but a issue, I feel like the villain is a big case of wasted potential. Like, I think they say that she's the twin of Charles Xavier, which is really damn cool. It shows that she's bitter about it. She's obviously very she doesn't take shit from anybody, but that's all very surface level. They don't exactly give you reason to care about her. They don't really flesh her out a lot. To be fair, this is a problem with a good chunk of Marvel villains. Like Marvel's never been the best with villains. Like occasionally they'll pump out like a Killmonger or Thanos, but that's very few and far between. Like, this is a problem that Marvel faces in general, and I think that this is definitely another case of it, where, I just wish that they showed a little more about who she is aside from she's a twin of this, she's connected to lore this way. About stuff about her specifically, maybe showing scenes of perhaps maybe when she was in this void and maybe in the beginning showing maybe, like, she started to adjust and give us more reasons why we should feel for this character or, be invested in this character aside from, the Fox lore drop and whatnot.
But why?
Because if
So
you want a good villain that has depth and, is interesting, like she doesn't do much aside from she kills the Human Torch. She does obviously have to take over the world, destroy it, shit, the very generic villain plot shit. And, like there's just
does
not
she wanna
much.
take over the world? Did
So
she?
She wanted to destroy the world. It's very generic. I want to destroy the world, basically. Like what? She hooked herself into that machine. All the power is mine. Like,
That was
okay,
after. That was brought to her. She wasn't living that life. She literally said she was happy in the void, doing her thing. She literally said it. There was no desire for her to do that. When she got screwed, that's when she came and wanted to exact vengeance on what happened to her,
By
right?
destroying the world.
No,
I
who
don't know.
said destroy it? She wants to take over it.
Take
She
over.
wants to no, she
Ooh.
wanted to destroy the timelines.
Yeah, that's
That's
silly.
not
I
the
don't know.
world.
It's just
That's
not interesting.
the
Okay,
timeline.
so I'm
That's a
stepping in.
generic
All right,
thing.
let Doodle
Like,
talk.
they could have
Pause
had
it, brother.
Well, let
Pause
pause
it.
him
it. I'm
finish.
trying to
I was trying to stop
chill.
you because I needed to jump in. Go ahead, finish your thought, man.
Just saying, like, they could have done something more interesting. Like, yes, they have the twin of Charles Xavier. They could have made it where maybe she knew knew she was a twin. Maybe she was trying to look for him this whole time. And when she finally gets the ability to time hop, maybe she is desperately looking for him, and that causes some sort of destruction of
Well,
timelines
she
or some
knows of
shit.
him.
Yeah, she
She
knows, but
knows of him.
when they like
She has no interest.
but she was well, I'm saying that they
So
could have done something a little more interesting, they're twins, like, they could have
so
done something interesting there.
I did have a lack of interest for the villain. I understand, where you're coming from, Madman, because this is the problem that kind of so this is the problem. We got into the multiverse situation, right? Disney started linking the movies with their shows.
Yeah.
She is from a show, I forget
Well,
which one it was.
Cassandra?
No,
The villain?
Cassandra's not from
No.
The
any
No,
show.
villain,
no, no, no,
yes.
no. She's
No,
not,
she's
she's
not
not.
from a show.
She's not.
Ryuar had mentioned it in our Discord, where
No,
you
no,
kind
not
of get to know
Cassandra.
her a little
No, the
bit better.
TVA
No.
is from
That's the
Loki.
TVA.
The
The TVA is from
yes.
Loki.
Yeah,
That's what you're
that's
thinking
not
about.
Cassandra.
So I do feel like she she's not necessarily a villain. She's content with where she is, and she wants to go ahead and continue to rule, not bothering anybody else, blah, blah, blah. And the only reason why she does come out is because she was attacked. I didn't feel that, "Oh my gosh, look at this bad guy, look at this badass, coming to go ahead and cause ruckus," right? I didn't get that vibe from her.
She wasn't given that vibe. That's not what she's doing. She's just powerful as fuck. So she has the ability to rule. She's just a ruler. She has her little kingdom. It's hers. She has people who does what she wants them to do, and everybody's afraid of her because she will fucking end them because she can. But she's not that's the beauty of this. They
The
didn't
beauty.
go ahead and do the traditional I'm trying to take over the world bad guy. It
She
was
that
it
that
was a
is what
more
she amounted to, though.
no, it's not. You're putting that on her because of where it ultimately went, but it still did not go to take over the world. She was destroying the timelines.
See, Sir X-Men brings up what's that, Sir X-Men? He brings up, I think Madman has never seen the Loki series, so I do think that he's
No,
connected.
no, that's the TVA, baby. It's the
Okay.
TVA.
Yes, I'm very aware of I've seen some of Loki. I know the TVA is from Loki. I'm very aware of what that is.
So
And,
so the point being is I cannot even pretend to understand the problem with her. She's powerful as fuck. I love that they linked her to Professor X um as the twin that could walk. I love the fact that she came out strolling out and then she stood up. She's like, "No, I'm actually the better twin, right?
mhm.
They got rid of me, but I'm the better twin, right?" Like I love that idea that she was just this badass with the same power. Now, it's a different power. She has to touch. I love the eye, like the put your hand in the head. That was crazy what
The
she
visual effects
did.
are pretty good. There were
I mean,
definitely some of the better visual effects in recent Marvel movies.
okay,
They
but
got
I'm not talking
embarrassingly
about
bad.
the visual effect of it. I'm talking about the story element
I'm
of
I'm
it.
just saying
The
it's
way that
important
she has to
because,
put her hand in their heads to be able to mess with their minds, unlike Xavier, who didn't need to do that. It was all in his head, right? So I love
Which
the
is
way they
her
did her.
weakness, right? She needs to actually have, to be next to them
Well,
to
that's
go
just to get
ahead
into their
and
heads. She could do
get into their
everything
head.
else to them. Like,
Exactly.
she ripped the skin off of that
So
dude.
listen, I would love to talk. I wanted to talk a little bit more about what was good with the movie because I do have my problems with the movie as well. I do feel like, the chemistry between Deadpool and Wolverine didn't kick in until, a bit later on. I did find myself kind of like waiting for those epic moments of the fight scenes, like, kind of like, "Okay, let's go." It was very funny, but at moments, I do feel like the movie kind of suffered from having to explain the mess that was caused by the multiverse, and I also do think that they found some jokes in there to kind of, like, really try to transition as smooth as possible, into that information, right? Through that information. So, you know,
So what was your biggest problem with the movie overall?
I listen, the flow of it all, they had to go ahead and kind of face the fact that they have this problem, right? That was caused by all the other movies and all the other shows, and that they're trying to kind of scratch that off and reset. And I do think the movie did suffer from that in order to have, instead of having more of a smooth situation taking place. Um, that's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, overall for me, I think I find when it comes to the negatives, and the reason I want to start with negatives, just to be clear, is because there's so many positives, right? So I rather get into the positive with no thoughts of negatives after we discuss them. But it's important because my man did have a review that's put out, and he does touch on things that he considered negatives, and I kind of want to go ahead.
I agree with this comment. Like
Huh,
the game adaptation newscast says the TVA part sucked, right? So for
really?
me, like it wasn't like necessarily like oh crap, this is painful, but it wasn't like the more entertaining part of the movie. I could have done without, or maybe like a better way of the in betweens rather than that TVA situation. Um and again, it's just they kind of had to have that there because of the mess that was there. So I do wonder if this was just like kind of like its own thing and they can do kind of like whatever they wanted had it been a better movie. I am
Yeah,
very well aware that I haven't seen and enjoy a superhero movie in so long, right? And I've been kind of wanting this. And so that kind of boosts up the movie for me, 'cause it was kind of like, finally, we're getting an awesome superhero movie that is badass, good action, and they're trying to untie them from the mess that they had going on that caused me to not enjoy them as much as I used to, right? Or at all, actually. I
yeah.
the last, what was the last was the guy with the rings? I forget his name.
Oh, Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange, I couldn't even get
Oh,
through
yeah,
that
Multiverse was
their
bad.
last
That was a
freaking
bad
movie,
movie. That was just a bad
and I
movie.
tried like 3, 4 times, just kept falling asleep because of a lack of interest,
How
but,
cringe it was.
yeah, it this is a problem that these movies have. Do I feel like going forward, they fix the situation in the next superhero movie that they go ahead and release, I'm gonna just enjoy? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they all still have this problem, and until they kind of strip them from it, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, well, I actually the funny thing is that the TVA parts, honestly, those didn't bother me at all. Like, I did have a bare minimum knowledge of Loki. I'm very aware of what the TVA is in the MCU and all that. And I don't think that was really a problem. Like, I can understand how maybe someone who has absolutely no idea what the heck the TVA is, which is a problem because, like, your movie should function completely on its own. Like, even with like, you shouldn't have to do homework to watch a good movie, you know?
I
Even
do.
the ones that
I
deal
under
with
Yep.
multiverse concepts, like Into Spider-Verse is a good example. They have a lot of references to Spider-Man history and comics and other past movies and shit. You literally don't know any of that to still enjoy the actual story. So I could understand, but with Deadpool, I could understand how, like, the TVA parts, it can feel a bit info dump if you don't already get what the heck the TVA is. And you want to know what that is, you gotta go to Loki or other properties that maybe dealt with the TVA in the past. So that makes sense. I do think the pacing is prevalent in my opinion, like as an issue or void. I do feel like it does get a bit like redundant. It's weird. It's like it goes from like cameo to cameo, and it feels like it's just trying to get to point A to point B. And I feel like Wolverine's relationship didn't involve enough in the void to really justify like the whole switch up Wolverine has at the end, where he kind of like no, like he loves Deadpool and shit like that, and they're like best friends, and like that wasn't there was not enough actual change or growth in the relationship aside from Wolverine basically realizing Deadpool by the end of the time in the void, and then he wants to sacrifice himself for Deadpool at the end, and I feel like that was a little disjointed. They could have maybe showed, even if they wanted to have that climax with Wolverine snapping at him, they should still have showed moments where they kind of did get along in certain aspects, or they did meld in certain aspects, to make it feel a lot more believable and, make it feel much more satisfying by the ending.
Yeah, see, it's funny because I did not like we watched the Loki a little bit. I didn't even remember what the TVA was, but I feel like that was I don't think that that was a necessary thing to know who they were in the like in the background of it. Obviously, if the person's bringing it up, they're a part of the world. So to me, it wasn't some big mystery or wondering um or like wondering where they're from or where that came from. Like it didn't matter to me. I it's just the story that got me, right? So that dude was Paradox is part of the TVA, whatever, and they gave him his chance to join the line, and everything started from there. Like I didn't need the background, so that didn't bother me at all. Um, Whereas on like you brought up, the Spider-Man, seeing all those Spider-Mans from places that I didn't know before or cared to know in my mind, like I never saw those people before, so there wasn't any excitement for me when I saw the different Spider-Man pop up. So each of them was a waste of life for me because I didn't care. So having one pop up wasn't like, oh my god, as opposed to every cameo that happened here was an oh my god for me, right? So I think that that's a very different thing.
I think with yeah, like I get that. Like it was awesome seeing Blade. However, I do think it does have the problem that I admit other Marvel projects have, like Spider-Man No Way Home, it also bothered me. When they have the uncomfortably long silences waiting for the applause to be over and shit like that. And like it's I guess in the moment it can be cool. Like it was for me with Spider-Man. I lost my shit when I saw them. But when you see it again and you know it and you're not losing your shit and you just feel like the minute long silence just for the clapping to go away, it just feels really weird. I really don't like when they do that. It feels
I
unnatural.
think the
It just becomes
cameos are linked to whether you know the characters or not to feel that type of thrill and excitement. For me with like Spider-Man, Garfield, it was one of my favorite Spider-Mans, right? So for me, even though he wasn't the most liked one, so for me that was super dope to see him in there. Tobey Maguire, I think a lot of people, even though I went to see these movies, he was not my favorite Spider-Man, but I think that was like a big, it was a big deal to have him in the movie. Um, but my favorite cameo from Deadpool and Wolverine had to be who, when we first saw, we thought was Captain America,
oh, Human
right?
Torch.
Mm.
That
Yes.
was really good.
Flame
Yes, that
on.
was amazing. That had to be my favorite one. Um, to see him come in, you're getting the idea that here we go, Captain America claiming he doesn't want to do superhero movies anymore. He's back out here as Mr. Rogers, and boom, turns
Mr. Rogers.
out that that's not who it was. It was hilarious though. It was hilarious, especially that last scene, like after
The end
the
of credit
credits.
scene. The end
Yes,
of
after
credit
the
scene.
credits
That
when
was
he
funny. The
comes
post-credit
out and says the same exact thing that Deadpool
Bro,
was claiming he said. That was freaking dope. It's funny because it was so out of character.
yo,
Um,
I really
I don't
believed
connect
him,
him with
dude.
that type of talking.
I believe them.
Yeah.
I believed Captain, was it? I
Johnny
call him
Storm.
Captain. Yeah, I believed him when he was denying because it just sounded like something Deadpool would do,
Yes,
Be
like
a
because
just
dick
an
to
for
kind of
no
put him
a-hole.
reason.
over. But yo, to see that it was actually true, bro.
That was hilarious. I didn't see that coming. I feel like
Yeah,
that
I didn't
was
see it
the
coming
one.
either. Deadpool claiming that, they got very, very close in that time. Um, it was
It was
awesome.
an educated wish.
And
Yeah,
dedicated, oh my gosh, yo, I use that now randomly because,
No,
it
Deadpool.
was one of the things that stayed with me from the movie. Making educated wishes
I
for
actually think that's
sure.
a good example of like a really. I feel like that was probably the best cameo they pulled off. Like at first, like when you see him turn around and it's Chris Evans, you're like, oh, it's a Captain America, wow. But then when he does like the flame option and it's actually Human Torch, I feel like that was a really cool way of bringing him in without people expecting it. Like that actually caught me off guard. Like that was a really cool way to pull off a cameo because I think that was pretty well done. It was fun, I think, in my opinion, in terms of shock and actual, presentation.
Yeah, it was really good. For me, I gotta say my favorite I think Blade was my favorite to see. So I think when I saw Blade, I just lost my shit. But the other one that I was like, "Yo, this needs to happen. This needs to happen," was
I know what you're
seeing
gonna say.
fucking Henry Cavill as
Oh my
Wolverine.
gosh, that was wild.
Holy
That was
shit.
wild. Yes, he fits
Holy
that role
shit.
perfectly.
He
Like,
needs
if
to be the
you're
next
gonna
one.
go ahead and move on from Hugh Jackman, it has to be Henry Cavill. Like, to see him just in there, I was convinced. They literally made me feel like, yes, he's
He just
Wolverine
needs to be.
in just that moment. It just felt right. And guys, let's not forget that we did get the Wolverine from the PlayStation game. He did pop in when he hopped off that stool.
Oh my
One
god.
of the freaking Wolverines that
So
that
comic
he went
accurate
to
Wolverine.
see.
That's funny.
The small Wolverine.
It
You're
was the
saying that that's the
size
one
of
from
the
the
same one that
PlayStation game?
PlayStation is planning to use in their game. That was really funny. It's funny how my mind just went right to I was like, "Oh my gosh, the PlayStation Wolverine."
Yeah, he's definitely the comic accurate one. It's funny that he was so small, that's wild. Yeah, they did a bunch of camera even with Wolverine, they gave a few different versions of him too, which is very sick. You had Deadpool had like a million versions show up. Lady
Oh my
Pool, I know a lot of
gosh.
people actually, damn,
Yes.
shit, man, we kept talking, I completely forgot. The homie Fonto, sir, man, thank you, brother, for
Fonto,
being here,
what's up,
man. Thank you for the
love?
5 pound super chat. Says, "Shout out to Lady Doodle Pool." Oh!
Oh,
Oh, nice.
what's up,
This movie
love?
hits
Thank
harder
you.
for over 35s
Mm.
due to all the 90s pop culture references.
Yes,
Love to you
yes,
guys,
yes.
maximum effort. You
Thank
know,
you.
that's a great point, Fonto, and I think that ultimately that's where a lot of the disconnect comes in, especially when you see, like, the reviews from a lot of these outlets, which basically has, like, these kids reviewing them. It's that they just you can't have nostalgia for something that you weren't around for. You know what I'm
Well,
Yes.
saying?
that
That's just the
is a
reality of
valid
what it is.
criticism, what you just said. You just mentioned it. You can't have nostalgia for something that you didn't grow up with.
Yep.
And yeah, that makes sense. But that also does basically confirm that to a degree, Deadpool and Wolverine is nostalgia reliant for people who grew up with those X-Men and, Fox
I would say
heroes.
the cameo is
The
nostalgia
the
reliance. The
cameo for
movie's not
sure.
nostalgia
For
reliant anyway.
the
If you
cameo for
remove the
sure.
cameos, it's still a banger ass movie and it's still funny as
Hugh
hell.
Jackman is from the Fox universe. So, and he was the focal point of it. Technically Deadpool, technically, but that's different, he's got the mask. It's like it's about him specifically that I'm not counting that, but like obviously the whole movie was basically a tribute to the Fox universe and its unfortunate demise or fortunate,
So
obviously.
aside from the cameos, right? The movies that, we kind of grew up with essentially, but like also the music, like yo, the music was on point, and if you don't know these
Yes.
songs and they're not classics to you or like, oh shoot, I
Yes.
remember, like it doesn't really hit, right? The reference that Ryan Reynolds had to Gossip Girl, oh my gosh, we were
Yes.
just talking on one of our shows about Gossip Girl. What a great show. Blake Lively is from she plays Serena
His
in Gossip
wife,
Girl, and that's
who
his
also played
wife.
Lady Pool,
His daughter played Kid Pool, and his son played
the
Baby
baby.
Pool. That was freaking awesome to see them kind of come together on this character that he's essentially the superhero that he's brought to life, right? Because if it wasn't Ryan Reynolds who has this comedy, if you guys remember, and the reason why he's so perfect for to play Deadpool, right, is that he has our sense of humor. Like, like how Fanto mentioned, this is like 90s style. 90s, 2000s, he was out there making these funny freaking movies that we kind of connect with, right? So that's Ryan Reynolds to us, and that's why he's so loose, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's it's dope that he did not dumb down the movie to appeal to, like, younger audiences. Like,
Yes.
all everything was a choice that he made, and it was all about kind of giving praise to the past, because if you think about what's happening with, you know, the Marvel,
Marvel
movies,
Universe.
right? Like, all the superheroes that we kind of had, like, it's
Grew
hard to
up
think
with.
about our generation, but,
Yeah.
there's, like, 13-year-olds or 10-year-olds who did not watch a lot of the when did Avengers 1 come out?
2012, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw that in theaters when I was just a little 5-year-old
yes.
boy.
Okay, so 2012, and then before that, the lead up to Avengers, what the first one was Iron Man, right? When did that one come out?
Uh, 2008.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a whole group of, like, teenagers right now who don't have, like, the idea of what took place to start up this great, superhero movie trend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason we even have, quote unquote good superhero movies now started, a decade ago, right? And there's a group of young people now who don't have any appreciation for that. They just showed up now like, "Hey, where's our good superhero
Well, hang
movie?"
on, hang on.
Right?
It's not appealing to the kids. It's an R-rated superhero movie, so obviously kids aren't gonna be
I'm not
seeing
talking
it.
about the R-rated nature of it, guys. Okay,
No,
let's
nature, it is R-rated. They won't be
I
allowed in the
understand that
theater.
this particular movie is R-rated, but I'm saying that you take out the R rating, you take out the blood and put non-blood, you take out what the
The cursing.
whatever makes it R-rated, take it out. It doesn't change the foundation of the movie. Those R-rated things are not like, man, the gore was the reason I like this movie. Like,
Jeez.
that's not
True.
correct. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
that.
do get that, but there is something that that we do enjoy very much about Deadpool, and it does have to do with how loose he is with his comedy, and it does have to do with how raw the fight scenes are. I think that there is a reason why we do love him so much, and
Yeah, so
that's
but
what he brings to the table in
for
comparison to
sure.
these other,
My
superheroes.
my original point was more about the rest of Marvel, right? That wasn't R-rated. That these kids did not grow up with that. So all those good characters, they all retired at the end of
Yes.
Endgame, right? Like, it's all done there, right? Like, they're not pushing anymore making these movies. I mean, obviously we know Iron Man's coming back as Doctor Doom and things like that, which is fine, but it was just kind of like there's a lot of new people who are now the superheroes, right?
Yes.
And you kind of like, yeah, the Fox line of these Marvel characters is a line of movies that most of these young people today
I
don't
understand
know.
what you mean. This is what made them, right? And
Exactly.
that's what he was focused on. And it is true. Like the superhero movies that we do see today doesn't necessarily resemble the movies that made them, right? That made that possible. Um, the they were freaking amazing in our time, and it's wild because technology has changed so much, and they're able to do so much more. But like the rooted parts of it, like you mentioned, Avengers, we went to see that multiple times at the movies, and it was like the most freaking epic movie ever. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just feel like he didn't dumb down the movie to appeal to the younger demographic of
Yeah, or
new
the peoples that don't
superheroes.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he didn't care that people didn't know what these movies are. It's like, too bad. Like, go research, young buck,
Yeah.
right? This was for the grown and sexy, right? Like,
Alright, alright, they're gonna
this is
sexy, really?
for the people who are, like, love these movies coming up and are now finally seeing it. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but the little clip at the end that they were going through all the Fox stuff from the
Mhm.
beginning to the end, all the little behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff. Come on, man. Like, that fucking hit. That hit hard. To see all those people who put so much into trying to make this thing work, They did a great job, man. I loved it. I loved it. Let me get before we go further, let me get my boy Ryu R Gaming. Thank you, Bill, for being here. And thank you for that $2 super chat. Says Deadpool's superpower is breaking the fourth wall. Hashtag no
What's up,
PS6.
bro? Hashtag no
Hashtag no PS6. You're absolutely
it's
right.
everywhere. It's just suited for everything. But yeah, they do that beautifully the way that he goes ahead and but the majestic, I can't wait to get into that. The majestic freaking Deadpool. Um, that was such a highlight.
Yeah, I love when he turned around and said, I could do it too. The proposal.
What do you mean, nice
Yes.
pool? Oh yeah, nice pool.
Which,
Nice
by the
pool.
way, one of my favorite movies. That movie's so good. Love Sandra Bullock. Love,
Yeah, that was a great movie.
love
Great movie.
him with Sandra
But it
Bullock.
was hilarious. Like, that was just like a completely
To the window,
unexpected.
to the walls, to the sweat dripping down my balls.
Yo,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. Let me get my boy, the AEC Executive Chairman, Day Reezy. What's up, man? Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for the super chat. It says Deadpool's fourth wall awareness abilities allowed for him to get Johnny Storm to say those things. He literally can know / write out his own outcomes. Really?
I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know if that counts for the MCU as well, because they do have a tendency to change the combo characters. So I do know they did that in the comics. I read a Deadpool comic once. I have a comic book of Deadpool, and he did something along those lines. I know he kind of fucks with the actual comic to break the whole fourth wall thing, but I don't know if he'd go as far as do that in the movie.
So let's see. Hold on. Ryuar says, I want CMoney in a
Okay.
Deadpool outfit.
No,
Madman did
no.
dress up as Deadpool, so maybe we
He
can
did.
we'll squeeze him in there and see how that goes.
Yeah,
What do you
that would
think,
be rough. That
CMoney?
would be rough.
Do we
Shall
have a
we?
picture of Madman in the
I will
Deadpool
send you one
outfit?
here.
Absolutely. I'll
One here. It's true.
maybe I'll put them in Discord.
Maybe we'll have
With the mask
Madman
on, with the
on
mask on.
camera as
That's
Deadpool.
Deadpool. I love that.
Every
Yes.
show he'll just come dressed up as Deadpool and do the whole show as Deadpool.
There's actually a lot more
That'd
people do
be
that than you think.
awesome.
Wear like a Deadpool mask
That's funny.
and like make
That's
videos
funny.
and shit. So
Um,
That'd
I
be
mean, I
pretty
wouldn't
dope.
mind.
yeah, that was dope. Now let me ask you, because
So
one thing for sure,
you did use, by the way, it didn't, not that he didn't dumb it down, it's just that he stayed with the kind of like original authentic situation when it comes to Ryan Reynolds. I think you use a
no,
poor
he
poor
dumbed it
choice.
down for like he didn't dumb it
Or
down for the youth who didn't know that stuff, right?
yes, but
So making it
choice of
simpler, like
words
they
is
don't understand
a
something,
little
so he didn't bring it down to
ridiculous.
their level because they didn't know something,
There
right? He
are a
wasn't worried
lot of
about that.
people who are young and do know about the movies, about the music. They know a lot of about the culture, right? The growing up with all these things. So I do think it's a bad choice
Yeah,
of
nah,
words,
I
in
mean,
my opinion.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The people are, you either grew up with it or you didn't. But when it comes to the oh man, I was gonna say oh no, I read it right here. Let me ask you guys about one thing I didn't understand, and I don't know where I missed it. I got very confused for a second. Who's Peter? I don't understand how he fits in this world. And they all said, like, is he like a part of the Deadpool
Oh
universe?
yeah. He was in Deadpool too. I don't know. I don't remember if he was in one, but I know for sure he was in part two.
But who is he supposed to be?
He's just like he's not. He's just like he's Peter. That's it. I don't know.
Like he just showed up.
He did. I mean, they made such a big deal. Maybe that was just, how they wanted to use it as a reason to get out of things. Unless someone in the chat, you guys know the power of Pete.
Yeah, Peter like knew
I
it. They
did
all love
love
Peter.
all the oh, he was in 2.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
I'm
said.
okay.
not remembering. Do you
Yeah,
remember that, Madman?
I
Yeah,
didn't
I did
remember.
say he was in two. I don't remember if he was in one. I guess
Oh,
not.
I didn't hear
I
you.
know for sure he was in part two.
Got you, got you.
Oh, he's the only guy that didn't die in X-Force. So he was part of the X-Force? I don't know. That's the only part of the story that I didn't really
Yeah.
get. He was just a guy that wanted a job. Got it. Yeah, I don't know if it's I mean, it was funny. Like it was funny to me. I just didn't know who he was or like why he had his suit in the locker in the beginning when you had the salesman Deadpool, you know what I'm saying, with his stapled on toupee. That was wild.
Luscious, luscious.
His luscious locks.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, look,
Oh, so Trey Unda says Peter is Deadpool's sidekick, in comics.
okay. And he has no real I see somebody put over here that he has where is it? Fonzel says Peter has both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. That's his power.
Oh,
Haha.
okay. Alright. Alright. I can see that.
I mean, it looks like it.
That's wild. That's wild. All right. So you guys did mention that that the comedy was a oh look, hold on. Razor Ultra says he was part of X-Force that died, and then Deadpool went back and saved him with Cable's time travel device in the end
No one
credits.
else though.
Got you, got you.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, that's what's up. So you did mention it a little bit, Doodle, about the comedy being a little, you know,
Juvenile?
no, R-rated, like
Oh.
a little extra. Um, let me get your thoughts on it, man. I was gonna start with Doodle, but you
Oh, I
had
thought that's what you were gonna say.
pretty
I don't know. I think it was really funny. Not much else to add. I don't have any problems with it, but I do know that there are people that do think it gets a bit juvenile with basically the gag being at and the abundance of swearing. Fun fact, there are over 138 F bombs in that movie, which
Well,
is wild.
listen, again, we're talking about our generation. That's how we do it. And that listen, not that I mean, let's just fix that up. CMoney's generation, those are the sailors. Me,
oh
I don't curse
oh
that much. I'm from a younger generation and
please roll the tape.
we don't
Right, you are roll the
we
tape.
don't do
I know
that.
you have it
All
ready to
right?
go. I know you have it ready to go. Oh my god.
But it does have that awesome sense of humor that his roommate, oh my gosh, that relationship, it's priceless. The way that she just when she was when she not looking, I was gonna say when she was looking out the window, she can't see, but she's hearing all this stuff taking place. And it's just like the insensitive jokes are not meant to be insensitive necessarily, but he makes fun of the fact that she can't see and he takes her medication and stuff like that. Like that's the type of freaking comedy and like just sexual and
Hey
just
yo,
a bit of cursing here and there. The cocaine joke that he
Yo,
had going on, that had me freaking
the paraphrase
wilding.
says specifically no cocaine is allowed in Deadpool Wolverine. So, there's that.
but he referenced it like 4,000 times
He really did.
just to make sure that that was the way it was gonna come out. Ryuar says, "I'm still editing Doodle's 10-minute cursing."
Oh,
Mm.
no, he
Oh my
wouldn't do
god.
that. And
Um,
good luck finding footage for freaking 10 minutes to put together.
there's plenty. There's
Mm.
plenty. Rasan Epinger says, "Ryan Reynolds fought hard for the movie we got and still fighting for the extended version." I
Mhm.
mean, he did a phenomenal job, man. He did a phenomenal job. Trey Unda
Well,
says this film tied all the knots with Fox Films. Now Disney has all full rights to all Marvel characters. You know what's funny? Um, the Captain America dude, I feel
Yes.
like I feel like that wasn't part of the plan. I feel like he said, "You know what? Just in case you mother effers think that you're gonna bring me back as the flame ever in life, I need to be visually dead in all aspects." You know what I'm saying? He was like, "I'm not coming back." All right, so you take it now, and I'm done. And they got rid of him. Isn't Pedro Pascal playing his character? No, he wasn't the flame guy, right?
no, he's gonna be Richard Reeds in Fantastic Four for Steps.
Who's playing
Which, by the way, looks really good. The
who's playing the
Fantastic Four
flame
movie.
guy?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought I imagined that you did. Um, and I see over here, Fonsel says he also saved Shatterstar. Who's Shatterstar? Does anybody know who Shatterstar is?
No.
No.
No idea. I don't know who Shatterstar is. Was he in the movie?
Oh my gosh. Channing Tatum. with that
Yo,
minion talk.
yo,
What the heck was that, you guys? That
that was
was
hilarious.
crazy. That
That
was
was
That accent
really
hilarious.
was
good.
actually insane.
Yeah, I think nobody mentioned him when we talked about cameos. But the
Because it's not
crazy
really a
thing is,
cameo.
No,
well,
he doesn't have his own movie,
well,
so it
it's a
wasn't it
cameo
was
in the
like a
sense.
fresh yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's a cameo because him being there was not them saying they're making a movie. It was nodding to the fact that there was supposed to be a movie, and now that movie is more than likely dead. You know what I'm saying? Because of the Fox situation that went away. So, um, will he ever play uh
Doubt it.
Gambit? I don't know. I don't think so, but I think he was freaking like he was really good as Gambit.
Was.
I mean, I
He
don't know if
did
that
really
voice
good.
can work a whole movie on your own. Can you imagine having to listen to him the whole time?
No, no, but
I don't
that's
know.
what was so funny because the way that Ryan freaking dealt with that, Deadpool dealt with that, he freaking said, I forget the exact line, but he was
Who
like,
was your like linguistics coach?
coach,
The
right?
minions.
And that was
Dialect coach.
Yeah, your
freaking
dialect coach.
awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. But they did really good
And that's
with
who he
those
was. Look, Rayur
cameos.
says it over here. It was a good comical character for sure.
Yeah, it definitely played his part. Um, I think let's just kind of tie a knot on the cameo situation. What are we had Blade, we had Elektra, we had Gambit, we had the Wolverine as Henry Cavill, and we had um the flame on guy, Captain America. What's his fucking name? Why do I feel like I don't Human Torch, right? Like that was a character. So that was 5. Obviously, outside of the
Wait,
other
Logan, I
Yeah,
loved her
Logan.
in the movie.
Laura,
Yes,
there you
yes,
go.
X-23.
she was so good.
I really hate that I
The
didn't see
little girl.
Logan
Girl
first because it feels
Wolverine.
like it really wants you to know what Logan's all about and like yeah, the impact. And I haven't seen it. I was 10 when it came out, so yeah, I was definitely not gonna be seeing Logan. So
Yeah, he's
yeah, I
definitely
wish I
not gonna
did.
care that you didn't see Logan before spoiling it. It's like
Yeah, they didn't give a shit. They
so
spoiled
long.
everything, literally everything, and it's like, what's the point now? I know what happens.
Yeah, but that's obviously they're not worried about that. That's an old ass movie. They wanted to bring closure to the movie, right? They wanted to bring closure to Wolverine and everything in his timeline. And they brought X-23, which I see there, which is the little girl Wolverine.
I do think it's weird that they confirmed that Logan is in the Deadpool universe. Deadpool 2 directly references it. So I don't understand how X-23 actually made it into the void because apparently she's been a forgotten character in a forgotten universe when the universe still has yet to be officially forgotten. It's just in the process of doing so. And Deadpool is obviously he has time left. So how the heck did she end up there?
No, I think the Void is not based off of anything other than the studio's desire to make another movie. Because they were
Yeah,
not
they were
going to
kind of
make
like
another
just
one.
tossed in there.
That's it. So they introduced a character
It's a
that
vault.
was never to be seen again because they were never making another Logan. There was going to be no Logan 2.
Ew, yeah, that'd be impossible.
Yeah, so that's how you end up in the void. The void is not a Marvel storyline. It's a movie, like a production storyline. It's saying that you're in the void because we're never going to use you again. You're dead to us. Right? Like that's the joke of the void. Right? It's where all the forgotten superheroes go to die or live out their life over there because no one's gonna make a movie with them again. Right? Like that's the reason. That's the point of it. Um Now Fabio Deadpool is the best character, which is Nice Pool, right? That's what he is.
What
Yes.
do you say?
Fabio Deadpool, right? You are
Nice
says
pool. It's nice.
yes,
Oh,
Nice Pool is the best character. He's really funny.
yeah, he was funny.
Fonto, thank you for deleting that message. That was unnecessary. Go ahead. Fabio Deadpool, that's what Ryord's got over here. Go ahead.
That's Nice Pool, right? Nice Pool? Yes?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes. It's
Okay.
nice pool.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just wanna make sure I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody stop listening. Yeah, so he was really good.
He was, and, dude, this is the thing. For me, that scene when he's, when Deadpool's trying to save him.
With quotation marks.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh,
Yo.
that was everything. It's like so he took cover with him. I thought it was the same way, right? I thought he was gonna make it. I would have done the same thing. I'm sure
Wow.
that shit hurts. I didn't know that he could die, right? We learned.
He died. Well, he was the only one that doesn't regenerate.
Exactly.
So is it because he's nice? You know what I'm saying? Him being nice means he doesn't get a chance to live again.
Jesus.
Fatal says, "You're good."
I'm clear. Oh,
Say
jeez.
it! Say it louder!
I'm gonna.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yo, that was hilarious, bro. I was fucking dying, dude.
My
Oh my
god.
god. Uh, like, that was so funny, yo. That was so funny. They nailed it. That whole scene, yo, that whole scene when they come out to, the Madonna song,
Like a prayer.
Like a Prayer, yo, that was so good, dude. That was so good. There was so many Deadpool. I would say if I was gonna talk about cameos, if I'm gonna put Deadpool as a cameo, right? All those Deadpools. I will say that I feel like a lot of those Deadpools maybe do in fact have their own different storyline, but a lot looked identical, right? Like they just
Yes.
looked 100% like they were the same ones, right? Like there was different ones that were for sure noticeable, but everybody else, like all the filler, they were just more Deadpools that looked the same. I don't know,
They
like
need to make, a Lady Pool movie using and
Movie.
having, Blake
really?
Lively. Yes,
That would
that
be
would be amazing.
that would be wild, actually. That would be wild. That would be really, really wild.
I mean,
There
maybe.
were some standouts. You know what's crazy? One of them did sound like, and I heard it, the cowboy, he sounded like Matthew McConaughey to me, and I need to go and
Mm.
check if he was actually in the movie. I forgot to do so, but I was like, "Yo, I feel like I heard freaking Matthew McConaughey in there." He's got that voice that has that little extra. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
No,
like I heard him in there.
you definitely, you definitely can hear it. I feel like it was him. I
I
really
feel
do.
like it was. That
Oh,
was
it was Matthew.
there we
Oh yeah,
go,
Matthew
yes!
Anto
McConaughey.
said
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Anto, that was Matthew. Oh, I love Matthew McConaughey. He's freaking awesome.
I did not see that coming at all. So Dark Angelic, what's up, my man? Thank you for being here, bro. Gives us some
Yo!
bars. He says he can't regenerate, so he can't be a dick and risk being killed, unlike the other variants. That's why
Ooh.
he's nice, because he can't regenerate. Yo, that dude lost his entire body. Lost his entire body. That was
When he
crazy.
took
And then he's like
those
trying
guns
to
and he was like, "I'll keep this to remember you."
Yup, 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 yup.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's they really nailed it. They really nailed it.
Don't say that to me, right? You are. That's just trying to that's
That's a
just
lie.
messing with me. That's
Nah,
not
that's a
very
lie.
nice. That's not very
He's
nice
already coming to the
because
MCU,
I'm
so like,
gonna
why
look
would they
it
need to do a
up,
Deadpool variant?
and that would be amazing. Can you imagine if one of the Deadpools was Ryan Gosling? I mean, he should be. I feel like Ryan Gosling should be out there playing
I
a
mean,
superhero or
he's
all
already
the
confirmed that he's gonna be
superheroes.
Ghost Rider
Okay,
in the
okay,
MCU.
okay,
So no,
okay, Doodle.
but it's
Okay.
true. I'm not lying.
I said Doodle. Do
What
Um,
did
you
he
feel like
say?
a
What did
doodle
you
this
say,
morning?
Batman? I didn't hear you.
he's confirmed to be Ghost Rider in the MCU, so his movie's coming. So it's
Let's
just a matter of
go.
time.
Oh,
I
Ryan
mean, Ghost
Gosling
Rider,
is?
I
Yeah, he's gonna
wasn't like,
be Ghost Rider. It's not a rumor. It's real.
is
Oh, wow.
but maybe he needs, so Ghost Rider, I'm trying to think, he was played by,
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, right? So, like, he doesn't wear a mask, right?
He's gonna have to
'Cause
be a skull.
Oh,
damn.
yeah. See, that's why they
Damn
put
it.
him on
Okay,
there.
but
They're
do
done with
they
his
show
face.
him? Because I just feel like, at some point Ryan Gosling needs to just come out here and show us his face. We're
I don't
gonna have
think
to
so.
talk about that, but I do feel like he can play every superhero. That would be pretty dope.
Oh my
He really
god.
Like they
can.
should
He
make a
really
The next
can.
movie
Tony
where
Stark.
with all the superheroes and they're all played by Ryan
No.
Gosling.
That's
All
not
right.
happening. Fonto says you'll get to see him as a flaming skull, Doodle. Okay,
All
Jeez.
right.
that's
All
what's gonna
right.
happen when we set his ass on fire.
Be
Right?
happy
You
with
get a
Ken.
preview.
I'm happy with Ken. You should be happy with Ken.
Yo, that shit was wild. All
But
right,
he
and then
wears like leather, right?
yeah, I think so. Leather jacket
Zip
and stuff.
down, exposed or something.
No,
I'm not
he's
sure. I
fully
think I read
clothed.
that
Fully
somewhere.
clothed,
Oh,
100%.
then,
No,
okay.
no, Dude's
Well,
not simping. Oh my god. No, you're not. You better not.
Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my god, dog. You let the dog
Jesus
out, bro.
Christ.
What are we talking about?
Listen, and just to get everybody on the panel's opinion, do we like the
about
that
Ryan Gosling?
musical moment? No,
Oh. Okay.
the musical moment stand out for you? I would say there's only like there's two options. It's
Yeah,
the
easy.
bye 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 or the like a prayer. Which one takes it for you?
Bye,
was
bye, bye.
What was the
Iconic.
best moment? What
Bye,
about
bye,
you?
bye, for sure. Where was
Yeah, I
hold
feel
on,
that. Me too.
I'm
Me too.
trying to but there's also another in the minivan. That fight scene where they keep hitting the radio and
I wanna get
freaking
pissed at each other.
even from Grease, the song from Grease pops in too. And we hear a little bit of it. I forget. I think it was shoot. Oh, for Sir X-Men is Madonna Like a Prayer. No, Bye 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 for me. But yes, the
Honda
Honda
Odyssey, the
Odyssey.
fucking Honda
Yes.
Odyssey.
That freaking fight scene was everything. They were rocking in there. For sure. And then when they come, Better Shape Up. Thank you, Fonto. Yes, Better Shape Up. That song was in there. That was super dope to hear.
Grease was
They
good.
did have a lot of freaking good music. So for me, that scene and the music playing in there was just freaking right. They
Yo,
destroy that minivan.
yo, at the end when they were both chained like
Oh
hand
my
in hand and his shirt ripped off and it's just fucking Wolverine's abs.
Oh my god, that was great because it was like they like really oiled it up. Like you see like every hair and
Listen,
everything.
Deadpool
Like
genuinely
they
wanted
just
that
it
after
was a
seeing those
magical
abs.
moment.
Like that's actually
Um
wild.
that was wild. But see, that's the thing, and this is what I will say though. This is we love Deadpool and it's the dialogue, right? The way he talks, the way that he addresses things, the freaking educated wish, the educated wishes. Um, Rashad, what's up, love? But we do love him for those reasons. But there is a situation, and I do think that his story. When you watched it for me, when I watched it the first time, the second time around, I liked it even more because you do go ahead and you pick up on some things that maybe you may have missed, right? But also, um, I do feel like you have a hard time connecting with Deadpool, um, outs because he's always wearing a mask, right? But then also outside the mask, um, you have a hard time connecting with Deadpool himself, right? Whereas, like Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, right? You see that sentiment, you see like the eyes, the expression, and you feel a little bit more connected to what he has to say. So those moments where, Deadpool does have to go ahead and give you something that it's a little deeper, right? But he has to have that comedic relief, right? Wolverine doesn't need that. So he kind of takes you there. It's a little bit more deep. You kind of feel a little more connected to his pain or his struggles. And that I think that's the difference. And that's why some of the moments for me with Deadpool when he was trying to kind of relate and be a little bit more vulnerable, they didn't hit as much because we're looking at him stapling his fucking hair on his
Forehead,
head,
yeah.
and you kind of and they make it funny so you don't feel like you kind of go all the way with
So let's
feeling
let's
I
that
mean,
sentiment.
Hugh
let's
Jackman
talk
just
about
also
what
just
you
like a
were
50
saying.
times better actor than Ryan Reynolds. Just
Well, I mean,
you know.
Ryan Reynolds is a good actor too, but Hugh Jackman's a different league. that
Exactly.
being said, let's go based off of what Doodle was just saying, right? So let's get into some of the nitty-gritty of the more emotional driven parts of the movie, right? So we all know the fun, we all know the crazy action, the fourth wall breaking stuff, all the dick stabby jokes and shit. Like it's all great. Okay. But they did have some moments to kind of make you, feel, right? The feels were there. And I think
The
even here
feels.
we're a little torn, right?
Yes,
So let's talk about it. What
let's go.
so who wants to start? Do you want Man to start? Kind of go into what he
It's
felt.
up for grabs.
All right, Man, do you want to start? Because I know you one part of your review you were talking about like the emotional aspect of it where you think it didn't quite
Hit.
hit.
I do think the strongest emotional bit, I guess, is when Wolverine kind of like insults the shit out of Deadpool, and he kind of just goes really quiet because he feels hurt. That was probably the best instance of them trying to achieve some sort of emotional edge, and I do think that worked pretty well for the most part in that scene. But
That's the one in
aside
the
from
car, right?
that,
And that's in the minivan?
yeah. But aside from that, I think that any pretty much any other attempt at trying to, like, have, like, an emotional edge, I do think it shifts too quickly from the, back to, like, the humor to really have any sort of resonance, because as quick as the moment comes, it kinda comes out with some sort of joke, and you almost forget that happened because something really funny happens, and it never lets you sit with anything, so it never really lets you have any real impact. You don't really feel any impact from certain moments, you know? The moment I can really think of is the one where, Cassandra messes with his memories with a girl with, like, where he breaks up with, like, the girlfriend, and she manipulates him into thinking she said that he was nothing, and, like, basically over and over repeated, and I do think that that was really strong, but it basically I think if I'm not mistaken, it transitioned right into, like, the Johnny Storm shit, like, pretty damn quickly after, and I got so like, it was so distracted by how funny that whole shit was that I almost forgot about that part until, like, really thinking it back in the review, and I think that there should be more breathing room to let stuff like that sit, to have any real resonance, you know?
Okay. And Doodle, what do you think about that? What do you think about those moments? Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like they
Yeah, I
didn't
felt a
hit for
bit
you?
disconnected from those moments because when it comes to, Deadpool, right? And I do feel like it's because he does need to be funny essentially like constantly, right? So it's like a balance back and forth, which it is difficult to go ahead and deliver sentimental things when you're going ahead and having to throw in a joke here and there. Also, I do think that, the mask, right? And what Deadpool essentially is, it doesn't allow you to kind of like go ahead and get a little deeper. And the reason and where you really see it with Hugh Jackman and you see it with Deadpool, Wolverine and Deadpool, in that scene where his Wolverine's shirt burst, right? And you're seeing him struggle and you see his arms like the definition just pulling and trying to hang on and you see it in his face, right? What's lacking? Deadpool is essentially doing the same thing on the other side, but you don't feel that from him, and it's because he's so covered up, and you don't get those emotional moments as defined where you just kind of feel like that gut-wrenching, "Oh my gosh, is this going to happen? Are they gonna go ahead and do it? Are they gonna go ahead and save everyone?" You don't get that from him, so I do feel like those moments do fall flat, and it's a bit of a struggle to go ahead and have Deadpool make you feel that sympathy or that connection that you do get from a character that you're visually seeing struggle or in pain or sad. Um, so so I do get that, and that was lacking for me with the movie. Those are some of the moments where I felt like he's at the office and he's talking to Happy, right? And he's trying to get in there, and again, he feels like something's missing. He needs purpose, and he is the Deadpool Jesus. He's a Marvel Jesus. But you do kind of feel like there's a lot of comedy in there, hilarious, but I also feel a lack of feeling like, oh shoot, yeah, he's missing that. And I think it's just a portrayal and the mask and all that stuff that kind of creates a wall for you to not connect in that way.
So I've I don't know. I guess maybe I feel like I'm on the other side of some of the stuff because, like, for me, I do think that the moments they took to do it, were like, they hit me in the moment. I didn't have to think about it after. I didn't need to sit with it. I don't think these were sit with it moments. I think they told you exactly what happened, and in that moment, you know exactly what he felt, and I don't think you would expect in a movie like this to then come out of that and get into this long period of mourning or like get into this period of waiting to see how much longer they can extend that feeling. I think they're sharp hits, right? They did a great transition for me when they're sitting at the table and he's talking to her and then they switch it from him talking to her to then Cassandra taking over and just you know being extra nasty about it. Like it was already gonna you already know where the conversation went, right? Because they're not together now, or by the before the end of the movie. So you'd already know where it went, and to have her just add insult to injury, right? Like just make it worse for no reason. Like that was a great way to see, like, for it to be funny that she just ripped him for no reason. Like, it's like, it was already bad enough for me. Like, just hearing the memory, like, just living that memory was enough. For you to throw the extra, it was crazy. And, yeah, you just kinda transition out of that and go back to the movie. I think I think I would have been more annoyed had they lived in those moments for
But
too
it's not
long.
about living. I do think in Rayuar brings it up, and I see what you're saying. Rayuar says, Doodle, you could see the sadness. He went ahead and fixed it. Whenever he would see his girlfriend happy without him. But there is, oh, look, he's sad. And then there's like captivating moments. Like you do see with Hugh Jackman because you are able to kind of see his face and his emotions. You are able to connect a little bit with how he's struggling with the drink and how he feels about how he let everybody down. Like it's not living in those moments. It's that when those moments are delivered, they're a lot more impactful because you are able to connect a bit more with the character. That's what I feel.
So that's kind of where I'm sitting, where I'm on the opposite of that. I don't feel that. I feel like the moments hit for me. Like but maybe I'm not expecting, maybe I'm just understanding the scenario for myself as a
I get that.
like
I mean, people have different levels. I did see somebody say that the movie that, I mentioned, I'm glad, with the rings, forget his Doctor Strange. Yeah,
Doctor
that
Strange.
was a great movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I
Well,
can
the
only
first Doctor
speak
Strange was good.
I
I
can
think we
yes,
all
the
liked the
first
first
one.
one.
Yeah, the first
The
one was really
next
good. I
one
like that one.
wasn't for me.
The
It
second
wasn't
one
at
we kept
all.
falling asleep.
So I'm glad for anybody who enjoyed it, but I can only speak from my experience, and for me, it was shit.
Yeah, so that's why yeah, so when it comes to this whole the emotional part of it, like, I saw Razor Ultron says, "I felt sadness for him when he couldn't get the Avengers gig. There was very little comedy in that scene." Like, again, this is like, I think maybe people are more caught off guard that they even went to these
There.
places, you know what I'm saying? When they were expecting maybe just like a all out comedy action,
Well, I think
and
Deadpool
then
1 went much further in terms of that, and I think it actually did it pretty well. Like,
well,
the
the first one was, like,
huh?
traumatizing.
Okay, traumatizing is a
Yes.
bit
See,
dramatic.
that one, you
Yeah.
do
I saw
feel a bit
Deadpool.
more of a connection, with what he's going through, and I think the acting in that sense, Ryan Reynolds kind of really, really elevated, what I've seen him do.
What do you mean, what have you seen him do?
Like, meaning that he
In
in his
previous movies.
previous yeah, for me.
Are you talking
Yeah,
about sorry, Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman?
Ryan Reynolds, she's saying in the first movie?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
first
Yeah,
she's
movie.
saying that that was something that
he
she
can't
hadn't
scream it.
seen him do so emotional, right? Like, he
Yeah.
did so well. It elevated him for her. Um So I agree, and it's always gonna hit different, right, for different people. So I think that was a really strong moment. I do love, just kind of like Razor Ultra says, like they sprinkled it around in a way where you can feel for him because again, where is it? Razor Ultron says it. Joking and comedy is Deadpool's coping mechanism,
Exactly.
right? So all that stuff he does is to take him out of it, right? But there's moments of weakness, and that's why I think it hits harder because you know that if he is showing you that vulnerable part, it's like his
Really
mind
bad. It's
like
really
it's
bad,
bad
for
because his
sure.
mind hasn't triggered yet to cover it,
Mhm.
right? And that's why I think it does hit harder for me when I see those parts because I'm looking at it in the context of who Deadpool is and the fact that those moments even took place.
I do get that, and that's why it is a movie that the second time you see it, it's even better, and I'm sure the 3rd part, you go ahead and you catch a lot more moments, that maybe you didn't in the first couple of rounds, so
Yeah. No, I think I think they did really good. And then, with the ending of it, um, kind of so I guess they saved that universe, right? So they saved his universe. But I guess my question is, and maybe you guys dig deeper into it, like how does that now combine with like the Avengers universe?
It's weird because both the Deadpool and Avengers time shit have like their own rules. Like theoretically, if he was connected somehow and the TVA was able to reach him, like whenever Deadpool make a change, that would mean in the TVA's rules that it would diverge it to a new timeline, not fix the old one. So that's like a really big like a contradiction that both have. And I don't know. That's weird because he was using Cable's time shit in the beginning to go into another universe audition as for the Avengers. So I don't think they ever addressed properly, which one is the superior timeline that matters more. I don't get it. I mean, it was probably the best they're gonna do because they already have established rules that contradict each other directly. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't
So
want
that's
to.
what I guess that's where I start to think about, well, how does this affect, the movies going forward if he's still basically in his own
I don't even
timeline?
think they're gonna include Deadpool in future things.
so
I don't know. I don't think
that's
so.
a great conversation. What does this mean for Disney, right? They were so hesitant, and it's kinda they don't necessarily go ahead and, rated R movies is not their thing. To go ahead and see this movie, make the money that it's making and people, embracing it in the way that they have, what is that gonna mean to Disney? What is going to change? Because we do know that they've been struggling quite a bit, and that's literally why, they did the Disney Plus app, and that's part of the reason why they started tying these shows, to kind of force their hand so that these people can go ahead and watch these shows because 'cause they're connected to the next upcoming movie, and if you miss the show, you won't necessarily go ahead and be able to link together everything that happened, and it kind of backfired, right? That's what literally put the nail in the coffin, at least for me. So I do think that maybe this changes things moving forward, how they didn't leave this movie kind of chained to anything else. And I do think that they're trying to kind of like change the way that they go ahead and do things. But yes, Racer Ultron, he says, hopefully this ends all the multiverse
So, but
Well,
that's
crap.
my
no, all the
question. Like,
others
That's
would
how
what
does
I
strengthen
that?
it.
want.
This was all
So,
based
but
on
that
multiverse
how?
shit. So it strengthened the multiverse, if anything.
So that's what I'm saying. I think I'm confused with the way people are referencing this because if I thought he saved it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, even though
yeah,
he
he
kind of made
did.
fun of
It's
it, I thought that the only thing he really ended was the Fox line of move. Like I don't know, like he saved
he ended
himself.
that, and it was also acknowledgement that it's been taken too far, like, almost like they do know. There is another superhero movie that's coming out, that I have no interest to go ahead and see. We saw the preview, each time that we went ahead to go
The
see
Falcon
Deadpool,
one,
and it's like,
the
"No,
Falcon
thank you."
one.
Like, this doesn't
You
go
mean
ahead
Captain
and
America:
change.
Brave New World?
Yes,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this doesn't go ahead and change for me the fact that I have no interest in these type of movies. I did enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was a great freaking movie, but that doesn't change the mess that they've made and how I see that going forward. Like, it doesn't change the fact that they're still making crappy movies.
I mean, what's weird is that apparently this movie takes place in 2018 before Thanos and all that shit even happened. Iron Man's alive at that point. So why does he keep referencing that we're at a bit of a low point with the multiverse shit when the multiverse shit didn't
Well, because
even
that's the
really take
fourth
into effect
wall.
yet?
That's the fourth wall, right? So he's not talking about the actual timeline that he's in at that moment. He's referencing the real world
Our
scenario
timeline.
of yeah, our line, like us, that we're seeing that it's not looking great right now with what's going on. That's kind of the whole stick, right? He gets to break out of it. He gets to be above wherever he is in the actual movie and gets to see the whole picture anyway. Um, I feel like very similar to Doodle. Like I know a lot of people like people are saying that, you know, the Marvel universe is saved or Marvel is
Nah.
saved. And it's like I feel like this was a phenomenal movie. Like
All right.
this one was great. And maybe if Ryan Reynolds became the next Kevin Feige, you know, or Feige,
No, no, no,
and he
no,
went
no.
ahead and had control over, you know, how movies were going to play out in the timeline, then I can say, all right, there's going to be a substantial difference. But
No, I
you
feel like
got the same
he
guy running the
could,
show,
you know.
you know what I'm saying? Like, the same dude's running the show. The only difference here is that Ryan Reynolds was part of the writing team, you know, he
Look,
was part
I
of the
think that he
directing team.
works great for Deadpool, but he's not gonna make a great Captain America movie. Like, you know, like he's honestly, it feels like he was born to be Deadpool. He understands the character really, really well.
I agree with
But I
that.
don't think that's just gonna easily transfer to every other superhero in the Marvel canon, you know?
I get that.
I mean, no, but what I'm saying is that if that did happen, if it was like, okay, now something like this is taking place, then it's like, oh, okay, there's going to be a fundamental change to movies going forward. So that's an interesting concept of what the movies are going to become. If it's Kevin Feige doing the same shit that he's been doing up until this point, where he was super high in the beginning, but now it's not. Now I know, the Doctor Doom, whatever movie Doctor Doom is gonna be in, that Iron Man is gonna be, back in, you know, what's his
Well,
fucking
you mean
name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey
He's not
Jr., yeah.
Iron Man. He's
So,
Victor
I don't
Doom,
know,
just the same actor. It's so
people
weird.
have shown me images of a comic where Iron Man becomes Doctor Doom.
No, no,
So
that's not the same thing. It's I've heard people use that as a defense mechanism, and people shoot that down. I think it's like Invincible Iron Man, or it's some shit Iron Man, where I don't know if he becomes Doctor Doom himself, but like I think that it has to do with him being Doctor Doom, it like in a universe. I don't really know exactly how to explain it. I think it's Tony Stark is Deadpool, Doctor Doom, but I think that in the Marvel universe, it's just the actor is the same, but he is Victor Von Doom or whatever the heck his actual name is. I'm no comic expert at all. I'm just using bits and pieces of things I've heard, but I really don't know comics like that. But I do know that there is supposed to be like a big difference, and you know,
well,
that's
that's what
all.
I'm saying. So, like, the people who know it more, those are the ones who are coming out like, "No, this makes sense that this is a thing that they're
And
doing,
actually,
and
that's the
that's
funny
fine."
thing, because people who really know comics are like people who claim to know the comics are actually not right because there is a reason for this way to go in the comics, but the way the Marvel universe is doing it is not the same way. It doesn't work in a way. I don't know. Comic shit's so complicated. I never really bothered trying to get too into it, but I don't know. It's weird because the comic fans are claiming that it's okay. The comic fans are claiming that they're kind of bullshitting and that it's actually not right for reasons. And it's like it's a giant web. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah.
mean, obviously, like you kinda mentioned, and, you know, I'm just going based off of what I'm seeing, you know, on Twitter and stuff where people are posting this stuff, but, the bigger point of what I was making is the fact that that movie, whatever movie he is in, um, they are changing it. So I remember you were telling me about the Secret Wars. I think it's the Secret Wars movie that
It
Doctor Doom's gonna
resets all
be
the
in.
timelines, that's the
Yeah,
big
but
point.
it was going to be about
Yeah,
Kang, the
Kang
character
Dynasty and all
being
that shit.
gone because of the
After that
legal
whole
stuff.
allegations thing that
Yeah,
yeah,
so
you
they
know.
dropped him like a bad habit,
You know
and
what's
so they
wild?
changed the whole
Yeah.
movie, but the bigger thing
Mhm.
is that the Russo brothers are coming back to do that movie, which those are the people who did the Avengers.
Yeah.
So, ever since the Avengers, from what I take it, they haven't been making the movies. So now they're coming back. They're gonna do Secret Wars, which is going to be a, you know,
Look,
it's gonna be a
it
big
just
deal.
feels disingenuous. They're banking on people seeing that guy and be like, "Oh my god, Iron Man's back," and then they're
Yeah.
gonna buy a ticket. Like, it feels less like they're trying to actually give a good reason why, and, just to basically say, "We fucked up, there's no way we're recovering, so let's bring back every good actor we had in Marvel canon and reprise them or reuse them," or shit like that.
Well,
In
just
Well,
either
then
when
way,
they went
I
ahead and brought
huh?
him up, right? With the arrogance, and we do know he's quite arrogant, but, like, in the way that kind of like, "Here, I'm here to save it all," right? It was kind of like, "Yeah, there we go.
I do think it's
That's
wild.
what are they doing?" And that's what they're trying to do.
It's insane to me though, like, how, like, with Iron Man, with, like, Robert Downey Jr., he was in a really bad place when it came to prison and shit, and they still brought him on anyway. They took the risk. Majors, it was actually proven false. Like, apparently, as for law, he didn't do it, and they still dropped him. That's a bit ironic from the studio that gave the criminal a chance and still, he turned out successful. But they dropped Majors, even if by apparently he didn't do it, and they still dropped him, which is a
well,
weird
I mean, but
story.
this is the thing. It's not like you have to understand. This is all about marketing, right? So it doesn't matter if he did it. The fact that he was, it sucks, but the fact that he was tied into the situation, it's just a negative look, right? In the movies, there's so little wiggle room for people having a problem with your movie for some reason, right? And that's all that's required for them to be like, no, that movie, nobody's gonna watch that movie, and then it all goes to shit. And these people spend too much money. Like Disney spends crazy amount of money on these movies to have them go to shit because the actor that they chose is entangled in some bullshit, right? Like it's not worth it to them, right? It doesn't make any sense, especially they're introducing him as a character. He wasn't even, it's not like he's part of the storyline already, so drop it and move on. Like, I get it. It is what it is. I think I think for me, and again, I don't know, like Doodle, I don't know if you hearing it, if it changes your outlook on it, but when I saw that in some version of this multiverse situation that there is an Iron Man who does, become Doctor Doom, I'm not heavily invested, just like you said, man. We're not like super comic freaks. We're more like the superhero movie people, and not even anymore like we used to be. So
Yeah.
this was such a big change for us. This movie was phenomenal. Um, but the fact that there was an Iron Man who had become Doctor Doom, I feel like it does justify it, right? Like I feel like it in my mind, it does make sense that it's like, okay, let's shift the situation. Let's pull from another part of the comics because this is all this is, right? Them pulling from the comics in some way or another. And let's bring back our Tony Stark, before he's dead, right? And let's turn him. I mean, he's old now, so perfect time to play a villain, right? Like you put him behind a mask so he doesn't have to be in makeup every day, right? And, you know, then it works. What do you think?
Yeah.
What
Doodle?
was your
I don't know.
question, bro?
Did it change the way you feel knowing that there was in fact an Iron Man that turned into a Doctor Doom, meaning that in the story there is a version in the multiverse, right?
No, I can
There is a
give 2
version.
shits. They've ruined these movies. They've taken them too far for me. I don't really care
That's
who's
wild.
who's back.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I asked it because that's why I was confused. Like, because I feel like you and I really loved the movies at the,
We
when it
did, but
was
it
Robert
felt like
Downey
a moment
Jr. and the
in time,
actors.
I think the problem was that they went too deep into it. Then also, the actors themselves were extremely some of them were extremely verbal about how they didn't wanna be doing that, right? I think that there are certain things that we don't need to know, right? Because it takes away from the fact that we're the ones supporting these movies. Whether you like to do it or not, you did take the freaking paycheck and you did sign up for it. And let's not act like they don't make stupid money, right? For us to be hearing how they want to disconnect themselves from these characters or they don't want to be doing this anymore, I don't know. I don't know that it seems to me not just a desperate move to bring back Robert Downey Jr., but also Robert Downey Jr. thinking that he was gonna go out there, and I haven't seen him. I haven't had any interest if he has made anything else on anything else that he's made, not that I freaking know or that I've seen him in anything else, right? So I don't know if this was a reality check for him of like, I'm not gonna be getting paid the way I get paid from them, and I'm not gonna be a freaking rock star the way that I am when I am Iron Man or one of these freaking superheroes. So I don't know, but him and Captain America, they were very verbal out there about how they just were kind of done. Thor, he's too freaking old to be out here doing this shit. Um, yeah, he won an Oscar for one of his movies that he made, but I really don't care.
Oppenheimer?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So Boss Red, what's up, fam? Says Kang was a huge villain in the Avengers comics. That dude brought Thanos down to Thanos to his knees. So he's super powerful. Ryu R Gaming says, yeah, Boss Red, they should have just recasted him. So I honestly believe they will. I think they will. I don't think they're gonna throw away that story at all. I think they're moving away from it. Like, they're distancing themselves away from the drama that surrounded the actor who was gonna play that movie, right? If they would have jumped right into that movie, it's always gonna be, "Oh, the new movie with the recasted actor because the last actor did this horror, quote unquote, this thing or was involved in this thing," and it'll just overshadow the movie. So they push it back. That's the way I see it. I say they go ahead, they push over it, push it back, tell it maybe part 2 of the Secret Wars or whatever it is. Give it some more space and then bring them back later on once some of the shit dies down. For sure, in my mind, at least. All right, let's switch gears a little bit, and just start kind of looking at things outside of the movie and how it just relates to different situations. So, like, compare to recent MCU, DCU movies, right? Like the Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy, Across the Spider Verse, The Flash. I mean, where do you guys see this movie fitting in as far as like ranking for you guys, or like quality levels?
Now, I do think it's better than The Flash for sure, but I also don't think it's the peak of superhero movies even this decade. Like the other ones you mentioned, the Batman, Spider-Verse, Guardians, I do think those are definitely better movies by a long shot. And even stuff like DC side, like Zack Snyder's Justice League, I also thought was better than Deadpool and Wolverine. And Joker was better than that. And even though it's not a superhero movie, it's a comic movie, but still. Like I do like it. It's a lot better than shit the Flash, Black Adam, and like Shazam, Fury Gods, and all that bullshit. Aquaman 2, all that dumb shit. Yeah, Deadpool's definitely better, but it's definitely not the peak of superhero movies even in this decade.
So how do you judge that for yourself? Like, how do you look at that? Like, for you personally, how do you say to yourself, I like this movie better than this one, right? Like, what about the movie is it the fact that it's a comedy and not like a serious movie? Like, because
Well,
that's the difference
Guardians was
between
also
everything
comedy.
else.
Like maybe like it wasn't like it was very. The Guardians are known for being very funny, and it was very funny. I think
I mean, it
that
wasn't
when we
Deadpool
talk about
funny.
emotional bits, that's another thing because there was a lot of comedic moments, but a lot of pieces, especially with Rocket's backstory, was actually might honestly be some of the most hard hitting pieces of MCU content like ever. I was shocked by how well done they did that whole Rocket origin shit. Like I was really surprised, and the whole movie, like they did a really, really good job balancing the really hard hitting emotional stuff, but also having the comedy that the Guardians are known for. I feel like it's not even a contest. Guardians is a much better movie with much better balance in
Time
terms of
out.
where Deadpool, Wolverine, better ending
Doodle.
or story. I just think it's better in
All right, time
general.
out. Time out. Hold on. Doodle. Is that the movie that we fell asleep watching?
What the last
The one with the
Guardians
Guardians
3.
of
raccoon?
I wasn't so for me, Guardians of the Galaxy, the last one, it just didn't hit. For me, I
Yeah,
didn't like
I don't
it.
think
I
it's a
didn't
good
care
movie.
for it. So
I don't think it's a good movie at all. I think it
yeah,
was like kind of whack.
I didn't care for it at all. So I don't know if Madman was finished with his thought with the
Well, I just wanted to know if
Well,
that's the one that we fell asleep on and we didn't like.
I think
We
so.
tried watching
Well,
it again.
yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead, you can
you
continue.
you probably agree with the Batman. The Batman was a phenomenal movie, and even you love Batman, and you really like this Batman. So even you can't just like downplay it. Like the
So
Batman is a
so
great movie. It's a
The
well crafted
Batman was
story.
really
I
good. I
love the
agree with that.
noir sort of. It's like they really take that detective side of Batman, and they really make something really different, really fresh for Batman. It's extremely gritty. Like it really bridges on that R rated. The cinematography is impeccable. Like that might be the best cinematography in a Batman movie. The shots were gorgeous. The whole Batmobile chase and shit was just incredibly shot. Like it's you can't like it's so well done. I feel like Robert Pattinson's an incredible actor. I really like the Riddler. Like they almost made him like a serial killer, and he felt really unedged, and like I really like that a lot. I don't know, and the whole like aesthetic, the arts, like the whole art style, everything about it just worked really well. And it's funny because there are a lot of people who apparently didn't like it because it wasn't like previous Batman iterations. And I agree it's different, but I think it's a good different. Like the Dark Knight, like is kind of like the best of both worlds in terms of the comic but detective. This leans a lot into the detective, but I still think it does a great job with that. So I think it was really well done. It's definitely better.
I mean, Batman's this first of all, Batman's my favorite, superhero, so, Batman is clearly, one of my favorite things, and that movie was phenomenal. I think Robert Pattinson did do a phenomenal job in it, for sure. I think my hard thing for me is when I start thinking about these movies, it's like, how do you rate them? Like, it's like when people talk about video games and stuff like that, right? Like, I feel like if it's a game that you would like to play more of, that you go back to play often, or you love it so much that you just stay playing the multiplayer or whatever it is, like, that absorbs you, right? Like, that I feel makes it a phenomenal game to you, right? Like, as a person, right? And I kind of feel like the same thing with a movie. Like, if I can go ahead and watch a movie, like, often, like, if it was just on and I could watch it a few times here and there, like, I just can just watch it all the time, I think that that makes it a
So
great movie for me, and I feel
so
like I could watch this movie often. Like, I feel like I wouldn't be able to watch these other movies that
Well,
much.
that's
the
just his nature. Like the Batman,
Well,
he
hold on,
like
hold on. Doodle was about to talk. Let
oh
her let her
my
finish.
Go
pardon
ahead.
me.
He has I
No,
have
no,
a
it's all right. It wasn't
different.
gonna be long anyway. I was just gonna say that, well, movies that naturally are more emotionally draining. Yeah, you're not gonna just want to see it over and over back to back because obviously there's a weight to it that the comedy doesn't have. A comedy is supposed to be feel good, and Deadpool kind of bridges like it's largely comedy, feel good action. Even heavier moments aren't too heavy and shit like that. That's not to say that it's better than others just because it's more fun, but it's like getting a wagyu steak versus getting a home cooked meal from your parents. Like maybe your parents are the best chefs in the world, but it gives you a nice like smile on your face. It gives you a warm feeling. Where the wagyu steak is much better, much richer, just a better meal overall. But you may not want to have it all the time because steak's very dense. I guess
So
that's how to put it.
I get what you're saying. I understand that analogy, that feel good comfort situation. It may not be the best thing in the world because a lot of people say, "Oh, this is amazing," right? I grew up eating this, and some people may try it and be like, "Ew, that's disgusting," right? But so this is the thing, the Batman was it was a great movie. I didn't know that Robert and I was skeptical, right, that he was gonna go ahead and play the Batman, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna be able to carry that role, and he did exceptional. You do have Madman, a deeper way of looking at things. You do pay attention to a lot more details, than, CMoney and I would necessarily, like, kind of, like, uh see, maybe we'll overlook, or it may not be something that we talk about, or but those scenes, the way they're shot, every little detail, it's you kind of are able to get a whole experience from it and look at different aspects that we may not be able to either do or not able to pay attention
Or care to pay
to it
attention
to it
to
all
as
in
well.
that way. So you do have a gifted eye for those things.
Mm.
So I do think that it all depends. If you're looking at the movie as a from a critic's perspective, which I think that you do have that kind of eye for things, whereas it's more of a for me, it's more of a what can I watch again? I can recognize a great movie, and I do think I only saw the Batman once, right? I do think it's one of those movies, or like even the Joker, that last one did a great job.
Oh,
Joaquin,
Joaquin Phoenix Joker, like
yes,
that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
did a great job,
I'll
but
never
it's not
watch it again.
something that I'm like gonna continue to just watch over and over again, or I can say, oh, you know what I'm kind of in the mood for? I'm gonna be in the mood to watch this shit show take place again because it was well made and it was a great story the way they told it, but it's not necessarily something that you feel like you go back to and just watch over and over again. Where I do think a movie like Deadpool, you kind of feel a little bit more compelled to go see some badass action with some laughs, right? A lot of laughs. So, it depends, right, on the mind, what qualifies as a great looking movie.
Yeah, I think, like, Razor put on over here, you know, Saving Private Ryan is better than every superhero movie
Oh,
if we're
shit.
gonna go down that road, right? But, yeah, so,
Yeah,
like, this is the
but you're
thing,
not
right? It's
gonna
like,
sit
what are you
there and
looking
you've
for?
never gotten me to watch that
I
movie, by
know,
the
and
way.
I've tried.
I do
I've
want
given
to watch
up.
Saving
I've
Private
given
Ryan.
up.
I'd watch it with you.
Um,
You heard?
There you
oh,
go.
that'd be dope.
Mhm.
But this is the point, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a certain like, as cool as it is, like, they're superheroes, right? Or villains, right? And it's cool to explore them, and it's cool to take it a certain way, and that's dope. Like, they've done it. Like, again, you brought up Joker. I think that was a phenomenal movie with Joaquin Phoenix,
Phoenix?
and he did his thing. I hate that Joker, right? Like, I the worst Joker to me. Like, I just can't stand that Joker. I like that movie, and I like how they portrayed that dude, but that dude is I just didn't I don't like him
Oh,
or
so
the
you
vibe
wait,
of
you
that
don't like the
movie.
character? You don't
N
like him as it's weird. Like,
The story's
like,
heavy,
it's a weird it's too it's
weird.
random. Yeah, like, it's
it's a
random. Like,
bit
he
out there.
yeah, like, I way prefer the type of, Joker that Heath
Like,
Ledger
he's not like a
was.
comic book, like, Joker. Well, like, he really feels like I feel like what gives him such an edge, like, not like, over others, but just in a different way, is how frighteningly realistic he is. Like, he could very well be an actual person and shit like that, and I think that's what gives it such a it's very intense and heavy feeling and stuff like that, very unsettling, and I think that that's a good thing in its own right. I don't think he like, I feel like the Batman franchise in general does a really good job breaking away from the superhero mold. Like, stuff like The Dark Knight, the Batman, they don't feel like a need to, like, follow the comic book structure. They can just, like, explore other genres and actually be treated like a film, rather than just a superhero popcorn flick, And, I think that that's what makes it kind of special.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, I get it. I think for me, Deadpool and Wolverine, uh, has slid in as, like, my you guys wanna watch a good movie? Let's put this on type of role, right? Like, if we had it already here, I think I would watch it. I think I would watch it a lot more. Um, but let's kinda pivot away from that, and let's go into the money that this thing has made.
A shit ton.
So, we were kind of talking about it a little bit, with, Doodle brought up, what does this mean for Disney going forward with having this R-rated movie like do so phenomenally? I mean, like, we at the end of the day, we know, money talks, right? So, like, how many superhero movies have they done since, like, the last big one?
What?
Like, the last huge movie that did huge numbers.
Spider-Man: No Way Home at 1.9 billion. That's almost 2 billion, which is pretty
All right,
wild.
how long ago was that?
2021?
Okay, so it's been like 3 years, right?
Yeah,
Every other movie that came out between now and then has not reached, like, those super heights.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is, like, their last one in a long time, or the first one in a long time that has really, like, done big numbers, and it's an R-rated movie, which is not Disney's thing, and now they're taking over, right? They're taking over Marvel's thing. I'm sorry, not Marvel's,
Fox
Fox's
and everything.
line, right? So now they have all these other characters to play with now. I mean, it's clear this is gonna do over 1 billion. Will it hit 1.5? Will it hit 2? We don't know, but it's definitely gonna do at least a bill. What does this mean? Does this change shit for Disney? Does Disney start saying, "Okay, there's a space for us to make R-rated more R-rated
I
movies?"
feel like an R-rated Star Wars would be really damn cool.
I mean, R-rated Star Wars might be dope, right? But, like, does is this something that now they look at and they say, "Okay, this is a thing. We can have, like, R-rated stuff, and the world is not gonna crumble."
It would be nice to actually see some action and some, a little bit more rawness rather than pew 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 here and there with the Star Wars shit. But when it comes to Deadpool, it's not just the rated R and that action that we're looking for. What is so drawing to it is the kind of like he's not coming out here with a facade about what's been happening. He is literally saying this is the mess that they've made. Um and we want to hear that. We want that acknowledgement, right? I think that it's not just going ahead and going into the rated R. Also let go of that mess you had going on and start somewhere and then start moving forward. It got too messy, and whether that was because of the comics, then you have to be smart enough to disattach yourself from something that's just a messy situation and it's bringing you and it's weighing you down, bringing you down, right? I don't think they recognized that with enough time, or maybe they felt like they wanted to keep throwing money out the window and continue to make, finish the comics, whatever it is that they were trying to do. But that the movie had a lot more than just, just being rated R for the action, the comedy. Like, it was a complete kind of like a package with a bow. Um, so it's not just about the violence, they will have to deliver in different aspects.
Well, what it would do for if they were open to it now, so let's say this movie has an impact on Disney where they're saying, "Okay, not every movie has to be PG-13 or whatever it is, and now it could be rated R." It allows the people who are making a movie to explore that, right? To go in whatever direction they want to. Um, but I guess do we think that's going to happen? Or do we think that this is a one-off because it was, Deadpool? Didn't you tell me there's some movies already that
Blade's
are
gonna be R-rated. That's a fact. It's 100% confirmed it's gonna be R-rated.
There you go. I think they'll be stupid to not go ahead and explore that avenue and say, "Okay, well, we have something here." They're always so concerned and, about their reputation. Understood. But when you go ahead and you do something rated R and it's bringing this type of money and this type of attention, I think it's something that maybe you can look at and say this can coexist with everything else that we do.
do you think they'll ever go and make a R-rated cartoon movie?
I mean, like an anime movie?
Like an
We're
animated movie?
getting close to that. Um, I do know that, like, I feel like America. I watched a video on this recently. Why does American animation have such a difficult time in R-rated? Because if you go to places like France or Japan, our adult anime movies are seen as very commonplace. There are actually quite a few. They are very normal in a lot of places around the world. America is the number one place that just won't break when it comes to adult anime movies being outside like the kids rating and shit. And it's very interesting why, but I don't want. I digress. I don't want to get into that. It'll take a long time to explain. But basically, I think that now we're slowly starting to get there with international sort of releases becoming more prevalent and stuff like that. And I think a big one, like with America, is like it's Sony Animation. You know, Sony Animation, they do like Spider-Verse shit like that. It's funny how like Spider-Verse, that was their big innovation after the shit show as a motion movie. They made that, and that was a massive success that pushed things forward. And after that, not too long ago, they released a schedule of, like, future releases, like a timeline, and there's, like, 2 halves to it. One is their typical family fare, which is gonna be, like, typical release you'd expect, and they have a whole pipeline for adult movies that are animated, but for adults. Their first movie in that initiative comes out next year called K-pop Demon Hunters, which is gonna be on Netflix, and there was a little clip release that they put out, and it looks really damn cool, and, it's gonna be an adult movie, not for kids. So, they're really pushing for that, and I think American animation is slowly but steadily, getting in there. And, we've been having R-rated series and movies based on, properties stuff like that, like Scott Pilgrim Takes Off came out last year. And that was definitely for adults, and, that actually made the Netflix top 10. And, The Lord of the Rings is coming out with an animated prequel canon to the Peter Jackson movies, which, supposedly, like, audience impressions of the first 20 minutes were insanely positive. So I think that we're opening slowly. And I think Disney is not gonna do it in-house anytime soon or Pixar or anything. But I think Marvel, maybe one day, they'll like allow like a Blade animated movie or something to come out, and they might let them go wild with the shit.
Yeah, I don't think
Mm.
they should do it in-house. This is like a PlayStation situation. You go ahead and you go ahead and find who can make the things that you're not necessarily known for or good at.
So, and you probably wouldn't ever release it under the Disney label,
No.
right? Like, so Disney, even if they made something that was an R-rated animated situation, it wouldn't be
Walt Disney Pictures
Disney's.
presents.
Yeah, it'll be either Marvel or Star Wars or some other thing that they branded
They've
under.
had brands like Touchstone and stuff like that, that if it was R-rated and they didn't want their name on it, they would be like a Touchstone Picture, or Miramax, or Hollywood Pictures, or whatever. So, that's common, you know.
All right. And do we think that any of the upcoming movies that are coming um, have a chance to make the type of money that it looks like Deadpool is going to be making?
Uh, I think Wicked is gonna make a lot more money than people think. Like, I think that'll be really big, and I don't think anyone's gonna see that coming. And, I also think Moana 2, because of how insanely popular their first movie still is, will make a lot of money, I think.
Oh, you're talking
Assuming
about
reviews
all the
are still
movies.
decent. Huh?
I should have been more specific. I'm talking about like the superhero movies that are
I
upcoming.
think the only comic book movie coming out. Wait, what you mean? This year or next year and beyond and all that?
Upcoming, like for what we know of.
The Batman Part 2, I think, is gonna make a lot of money. That comes
How
out in,
much
like,
did the first
a
one
couple
make?
years.
How much did the first one make?
I have to look that up. I
Okay.
don't know. 1 second.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a perfect storm.
$772 million in a pandemic, mind you, like, shortly after.
Okay.
So
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 it
the second one is bound to do better.
theoretically.
yeah.
Um so as far as like this, I feel the one thing I feel about this movie, and we're gonna start to wrap up a little bit here. Um, I do feel like this movie is a perfect storm of just like the best timing possible, and the state of Marvel movies, right, where we kind of feel with them overall. I think it's just hitting at the right time. It was the perfect way to kind of make fun of how shitty the movies have been for us, at least personally. Um, and it does kind of come at a time where it's you know building hope for the future of it, right? To kind of hope that we're gonna end up with a better Marvel to come, right? Do you guys any of you feel that way, or what do you kind of feel about the movie in that way? Batman, Doodle, somebody?
Sorry, what?
Oh, that's
So
done.
I don't know that that's the problem that it's difficult to think that moving forward this is going to change anything, right? I think they're on a path that they're going to continue unless they're just making the next Deadpool, right? and we know that who's making that movie and how that's the only way for me to kind of trust it. Say, okay, I'm gonna definitely go see this. Put Deadpool in front of me. I'm like, okay, the last one was great. Let me see the trailer. I'll probably go see it, right? But anything else, I don't think this changes anything. Um, Spider-Verse, yes, I'm going that I'm looking to go see. I wanna see the 3rd one. I
Oh, that
did
next
enjoy
one.
yes,
Beyond.
for sure.
It left
Um,
us on a cliffhanger.
yes. So, I'm excited to see that. The Batman, but this has nothing to do with that.
No, not the extended James Gunn shit. It's its own bubble, you know?
Yeah.
All right, and let's end it with this. Are we gonna get another Deadpool movie?
I don't know.
Do you think it's likely?
I think with the money that it's making, I think they'll be stupid to not say, "Hey, Ryan, what are you thinking next?" You know? "What are we gonna do next? What's happening here?" I think this was, I think he fought hard to get these movies made, and then when, Disney stepped in and bought Fox, it was kind of like, "What's gonna happen now?" Right? I don't know if there'll ever be another Deadpool movie. He managed to get this done, and for it to do as well as it's doing is huge for him. This is kind of like we're not gonna go ahead and have the same budget. We're gonna need a higher budget because and I love the fact that he kind of just addressed everything. You feel like you know everything that's happened. He's like, "That wasn't in the budget," right? Like, "We couldn't afford to get Iron Man in here." And it was just kinda, like, straight up, and you laugh it off, and you're like, "Oh, look, they probably went ahead and were trying to get this asshole in here, and, they couldn't get him in." Um, which was the reality, right? But I do feel like they'll be stupid or not go ahead and get on the phone with Ryan Reynolds and see what they're doing next. I think Deadpool made a name for itself. Um, so it's gonna come with a bigger budget, it's gonna come with a lot more money for Ryan Reynolds. And now he has I really do wanna see, like a lady pool and kind of like maybe even see them that multiverse I'm okay with. Like, let's see them together, right? I will love that. Or find shoot, bring back the majestic freaking Deadpool and freaking have them have their own movie. Like, I'm open to all of that. That'll be pretty dope.
Yeah, I think that would be a dope ass thing if they actually explored the Deadpool multiverse and just start showing us some of the other things as actual movies. I would say over here, where was it? Cullen Prime brings up a point, says, "Don't forget, guys, that Fahi, he still was involved in this movie. So he had to okay the story for this movie. So he does see how the multiverse is perceived by most movie goers. Do you feel like this whole situation is something like maybe they didn't necessarily want to go this far into it, but they kind of created something and just felt like they had to finish some of these things? Like, do you think that they really, really wanted to end up in this situation where it's so convoluted with so many different freaking
I don't
things?
think so, and I don't think that they saw, like, the lack of interest from people. I thought that they were on a high. They thought that this was gonna just this train was just gonna keep on chewing, and and I'm kind of sick of um,
Yeah.
that part of it. So I don't think that I think that they're too far down the rabbit hole where it's so close to the end, right? So it's kind of like, let's go ahead and finish what we started so we can kind of close that chapter and move on from it. I mean, wouldn't you like want to just see it all kind of come to an end and finish what you started? But at the same time, it's like it's brutal.
Yeah, I think the hard part, especially for fans, is and man, I don't know what you think about this stuff.
Huh.
But I think the hard part for fans is that even though the movies haven't been great, a lot of them still followed every part of it, right? To kind of put all the pieces together, see all the story. So, like, I don't know if they can abandon anything, right? Like, I don't know if the fans would let them just be like, "Yeah, you know what? forget all this crap. Let's start down here. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they kind of have to see some of these things out to the end before being able
To move
to make
on.
a yeah, to move on completely. What do you think, man?
I mean, I don't I when it comes to like Deadpool's future in the MCU,
Or all the movies, but not just that, but even in what Doodle was saying, like how convoluted the plot line is, it's kind of like you would just kind of want to walk away if possible to move forward. But there's a lot of people who are already invested in all these different storylines, right?
I'm just starting with Deadpool.
Okay.
When they were making it, they basically wanted to make it as self-contained as possible. Like obviously they were gonna have to acknowledge some little MCU things like TVA and all that, but for the most part, they want to keep it its own thing. And I think that is like the way they ended it with him not really being integrated. I don't really see him being injected in future MCU projects, and I feel like that it just kind of ended. Ryan Reynolds says that he would be down to do another Deadpool, but there's supposedly not even any talks to really make another Deadpool. And I don't know, it feels like it ended well. So I don't really think there's a need for Deadpool. And his comedy is so contrasting from the others that I don't even think he could be in like an Avengers without basically making it R
Yeah,
rated
that
if they
wouldn't
really
gel
want to have him
well.
in there. So yeah, I don't know.
So
I think
so
money
so
talks though. So I do think that the amount of money that it's making, the way that the merch is selling, the fact that we went twice to go ahead and watch the movie, but we went on the day that it released, right? We went on that Friday early, very early. So because those were the only tickets available for how we wanted to see it. And the buckets had sold out the night before. There were 200 items of each item. There were 200 of each, right? And everything was just completely
at our
gone
theater.
that had to do with Deadpool and Wolverine. So it was the way that things aside from that, the amount of pops, the amount of statues are being made, like there's a lot of merch out there to kind of highlight the fact that this movie is a success. There is a difference between thinking that you're not going to go ahead and do something else, or maybe this is it, and then when you do get a taste of that love from the fans, right, and the fact that it was received so well, that changes things, right? Money talks.
I agree. I will say, man, that you didn't talk about anything else that I had said, and you said you were starting with Deadpool and then you just ended.
Well, someone was
Out
getting
of
in there. Like I Doodle was started talking about it and all that.
Yeah,
But
I was just trying
basically
to see what you feel
with the
about
plot
people who
lines,
are yeah,
like, they can't
invested.
just drop it. Like, there's too many people that as many people as they say, "I don't wanna follow the big story." There are too many people that actually did still stick with it and follow the story for them to just be like, "You know what? We're retconning everything. It's over, guys. We're starting over," or there's no real continuity between them. Like, Secret Wars was supposed to be like a reset essentially, and I feel like that'll shave off a lot of the fat. But until then, I still think everybody's gonna have to follow a web. He's gonna have to follow a structure and all be connected because the story's
So
too
there
big, too balloon
so
for them
there
to just
might never
ignore
be a
it for
way out.
the sake of quality.
So they might be trapped
Help
forever.
us. Get us out of this
They
mess.
might be trapped
This is the
forever.
problem,
Yeah.
right? And this is the situation. When you go ahead and for me, in order to enjoy something, I can understand some people digging the comics and all this other stuff. There is a lot of pressure for them to go ahead and please the people that are into these comic books, right? These comics were, some of them were made so freaking long ago, right? That sometimes you just want to grab a character and tell a story that may not be tied up to, a story that was told X amount of freaking years ago. I want them to come to a freaking conclusion so that they can go ahead and remake and maybe get creative in the modern day and spin these stories and give these characters a little bit more life, right? A little bit more of a modern spin. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My problem is that a lot of people that are by the book, right, want to go ahead and kind of shame the movies when they're not exactly following that. And, it is supposed to take kind of like the essence, right?
Mm.
It's like The Notebook, right? It was a book and they made the movie, right? It's supposed to take the essence and then go ahead and kind of portray that into a movie or a show, right? But it doesn't necessarily need to follow every single thing. And I think where people are a bit too judgmental if these steps are not followed. We need to let that shit go.
Yeah, I feel that. We did man, you did bring up the idea of him not being in other MCU movies.
Yeah.
How would it work? Cullen Prime says no Deadpool movie, but Deadpool will appear in other MCU movies. And then he does go on to say Deadpool will definitely be in other MCU movies. So I think for me, when I think about Deadpool being in another one of these other franchise movies, is I feel like Deadpool is very, it's so weird to say it this way, but it's like he's very self-centered. Like it needs to be his movie. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? Like, you could have somebody else who's in his movie, but it still needs to be his movie because his movies are
It has
so,
to be centered around him.
yeah, like, it's
He's the
so,
special.
he is the special.
Mhm.
Like, they're so particular with him being able to break the fourth wall and do all this stuff, and I don't know how that would play in a regular, like, in a regular movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like you guys talked about with, people getting caught up in these movies and, they wanna be accurate and everything like that. Like, I don't know how people would feel if in the next Avenger movie or some shit that'll be he'll pop up and be like, talking to the camera and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work, man. I don't know if that would work. But he does actually come back and say that Secret Wars will reset everything. Then they will have heavy focus on the mutants. So X-Men, I guess, going forward.
Yeah.
So is that what it is? The Secret War is the reset of the timelines and
Essentially,
just
that's what I
merge
heard.
everything to one final timeline?
I'm pretty sure.
So so then what did Deadpool even do then? Right? If because Secret Wars was always gonna come out. So if this movie came in, it was literally just a way to justify Fox being out and the now the regular Marvel movies are gonna take over X-Men,
Hmm.
right? I mean, that's essentially what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, alright. Well, this is what I wanna do. I want everybody's last words, and then we'll get everybody out of here. Appreciate everybody rocking with us. Um, man,
Yeah.
what are your last words about the movie or anything that we talked about? Whatever you wanna kinda send it off with.
I think it's a good movie. I really liked it. It was a fun time. It had good action. I had like for a Deadpool film, I think that it did what it needed to do. And I am very happy that it exists and wasn't just canceled after them buying out Fox and shit. So, I liked it. The thumbs up for Mad Man.
Nice. Doodle?
It is a good movie. It's pretty funny. Um, I love the music. It was good. It was really good. I did like having Wolverine in there. I do think it took a moment for them to kind of click and that to kind of move forward. But it was well made.
Agreed, agreed. And I would just say, I mean, I started the same way that I'm gonna end it. I think it was a phenomenal movie. I loved every moment of it. 10 out of 10 for me. I think it was just phenomenal. They nailed it. I watched it back a second time, thinking I might find places that it missed, or maybe I was just hyped the first time, so the second time it'll go away. Nothing went away. The feelings were the same. If anything, they were amplified. I caught more that I missed the first time around. So I think they nailed it. I would love for him to be more involved with all the Marvel movies. I think he has an eye for it. And whoever that team is who made this movie, like the people who did the action scenes and stuff like that. Like I feel like you said it earlier, man, it has some of the best choreography with the fighting scenes. I would love to see them move forward and do more on different films. I also would love, they brought out these cameos. I would love for them to get a Gambit movie. You know what I'm saying? Bring him back. He was advocating for it on Twitter. I think Gambit was dope. I think Blade being there, I would love to see something with the original Blade being able to come back in. I don't know, it would be dope.
Listen, you say that, and it would be great for all of them to go ahead and make a comeback. But at the same time, we did see the way that they shot those action scenes. These people are not out there ready to freaking bounce around and do flips and
Not
really
Blade,
do a
the other
good
dude.
shanky shank and
Uh,
stabby stab, right?
what's his
These
name?
people are
Gambit does.
on the older side of it, and they did shot certain scenes a certain way to go ahead and make it look polished as and clean as they can make it look. Um, but
I
you
agree with
know,
Jennifer Garner and Blade for sure. They're definitely older. Gambit though, Ryan Reynolds put the footage out there. He was doing all that stuff, all those flips and all that stuff.
disappointing that Ryan Reynolds didn't do that in Sync Dance.
Yes, agreed.
Disappointing, right?
Agreed.
We watched the movie with Ryan Gosling, the stuntman, right? And it's disappointing where you have enough money to go ahead and learn the choreography, and yet someone else is doing it for you because you're hiding under a mask. He does great with the with the jokes and the what am I thinking about? The things that he says. He does well with the character, but when it comes to that dance, I think that he should have, went ahead and pushed himself and got and done the dance, right?
I'm sure they filmed it.
It's such an epic freaking way to start the movie, and I think he should have carried that. Disappointing that he didn't. I thought he put the effort. I was like, "Oh, shoot, look, we didn't know he can dance. You can learn how to fucking dance." And with editing, you can make it look right. He should have done that.
I'm sure they tried. I'm sure they said, "Give it a try," and they filmed it, and they said, "Fuck this, this looks ridiculous,"
Listen, when
and
you
then they
go
tried to
ahead,
do it.
I mean, the last thing we wanna do is end up with a genie situation in Will Smith when he's out there butchering songs because he can't sing and they still release it, when it shouldn't have been released. So, if it was that bad, then I understand,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
yeah, they did what they had to do, I think. Um, but I agree. At the end of the day, I just think they did it. And honestly, if they ever bring back Wolverine, Henry Cavill, bro, come on, it has to be. If it's not gonna be Hugh Jackman, if he's done, if he's
Yeah,
retired,
I agree. I agree with
give
that.
us Henry Cavill as Wolverine, bro. Let's do it.
It's a great movie. Good to see a good superhero movie out nowadays with all the nonsense that we've been getting, especially because we did used to enjoy a lot of these movies. Um,
Agreed. Agreed indeed. Well,
Very much indeed.
guys, thank you so much for rocking with us. We're gonna wrap it up here. We appreciate you all. Remember, we'll be back tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, for the On Point Gaming podcast. We got a lot to talk about. It's gonna be a fun time, so definitely come and check that out. Thank you all again for rocking with us. This is a fun movie, so it was great to talk about. And that's it, man. Thank you for all being here. Doodle, we're gonna end the show the way we end every single show. Doodle,
yes,
we're done.
we are.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Madman, I think
Oh, I'm
we
starting this
I
time?
think
Mama,
I think
Doodle
I think
always
you're
says you're
intruding.
intruding first.
You're intruding.
You're intruding.
You're intruding.